So the first thing we're going to want to do is clean up these table and column names. Let's take a look. Cust demographics, there's a deeper problem with that table which we'll have to deal with later, so we'll come back to that one. Cust info, that's our list of customers, not a list of cust infos, so we'll call that customers. Product list, similarly, isn't a list of product lists, it's a list of products. Receipts, users don't usually think of as receipts, they think of as orders. Returns and suppliers look okay. Now for the column names, it's a little bit easier to change them over here in the data view. Cust ID is a foreign key, so we don't need to worry about that. Property and value, those are okay. In the customers table, let's change Cust ID to simply ID, because that's how users will ask about it. Similarly, Cust name to just name. And Cust adder should probably be called full address. In the orders table, here's an order ID, so we'll just call that ID. Custody and prod ID are just foreign keys, so we don't need to worry about those. Quantity should probably be called QUANTITY. Here's our order date. Discount ship date both look okay. How about products? Product ID should probably just be ID. Product name is probably just name. Description, price, quantity and stock, we should spell that out. Supplier ID is a foreign key and size is okay. The returns table should probably say return date. These two are both foreign keys, and let's spell out quantity. And finally, the suppliers table, ID, name, contact name, all of these actually look okay. I do notice a problem with this table, however. These four columns are all information about the contact. If somebody wants to ask a question about the contact for a supplier, they probably want all four columns at once. In order to make that happen, we need to have a single object in the database which contains all of the information about the contact. So to do that, let's go and edit the query for suppliers. What we need to do is split this out into two tables, one for the suppliers with all the supplier information, and one for the contacts with all the contact information. To do that, we can duplicate the suppliers table, rename it to contacts, and in the contact table, get rid of all of the information that is not relevant to the contact. And similarly, in the suppliers table, get rid of all of the information that's not specifically about the supplier. Save that. And now we have both suppliers and contacts. The next thing we should do is take a look at that customer demographics table. So what we have here is a typical property bag. And as we've discussed before, property bags are not going to work particularly well with Q&A. So we're going to want to reshape this. So let's edit the query. Take our property column and value column and transform it by pivoting that. And while we're pivoting, we need to make sure not to do an aggregate of those values. There we go. And now we have instead an age column and a gender column. So we can go ahead and save those changes. And now we have a more sensible customer demographics table. The next thing we should do is take a look at any columns that might need to be split out into their component parts. Like for example, the full address column in the customers table. So let's edit that query. We'll take the full address and make a copy of it. So add a column, duplicate, and then that duplicate we can split by that comma. Actually, in this case, it's a comma space that we want to split by, so we'll do a custom delimiter. And there we have our street address, city, and country. We'll save that. Let's also take a look at the order date column, because the user might want to be able to ask questions about order year and order month. So we'll edit the query, take the order date, add a column based on it, which is the year of that order date. We'll call that order year. Similarly, take the order date, add a month column, call that order month. There we go. Now the last model shaping step I want to show you is absolutely critical. You need to make sure that the relationships between your tables are correct. Otherwise, Power BI as a whole, and Q&A in particular, will not be able to build the queries correctly. So let's take a look at the relationships that were automatically guessed by Power BI Desktop. Some of these look okay, but you'll notice, for example, here, the suppliers table is unrelated to anything else. That might explain why in the question, who supplies a cog, we recognize the supplier, we recognize the cog, but couldn't find a way to filter one by the other. So we need to add here in the products table a join from the supplier ID to the suppliers table. Now there's another problem I notice here. It guessed that there's a one-to-one relationship between customers and returns. That's not actually correct. Each customer can have more than one return. So let's change that to a many-to-one relationship. All right, so far so good. These are many-to-one, that looks good. But because of that error, it had to deactivate this relationship between products and returns, since you can only have one path between any two tables. But now that we've fixed the problem, we can go make this relationship active. And there we go. So now our joins between all the various tables, all of our relationships look correct. Now what we want to do is go try out some of our previously broken questions and see what we got working. So back to our report view, open Q&A, and try customers. That looks better. Now we have a list of customers. So we can add that to our working questions list and remove it from here. How about orders for eRigby? Well, it assumed that what we were talking about was the count of orders for eRigby. Not terrible. We can go ahead and add that. What if we wanted a list of orders for eRigby, however? It's insisting on doing a count, so we're going to have to see what we can do about fixing that. So let's change our broken question to list orders for eRigby. All right, how about this one? Who lives in London? So it's able to get that right. These are the people who live in London, or the customers who live in London. It doesn't know the word lives, but it's making a sensible guess. So we'll go ahead and add that one. How about London customers? Okay, asking it that way works too. We'll add that. Get rid of this one. All right, how about products? There we go. The plural version of products works now. Good. All right, how about who bought a cog? Now, still doesn't know anything about bought, but that's not surprising. We didn't do anything to fix that. So we'll leave that in the broken list. Who supplies a cog? Ah, see, now that we fixed the join, this is working correctly. Cogswell Cogs is the only supplier that supplies cogs. So we can add that to our working list, delete it from the broken list. List the returns. I'm going to guess that that one's correct. Ah, that's right. We wanted to fix which columns we're showing, so we'll leave that in the broken list. How about count the returns by year? Same problem here that we had before. So, quite a few of them are working now that weren't working before. Let's add a few more. How about count orders by year? Okay, we get the count of orders by individual ship date. It's not quite right. So let's grab that. Put that over here. How about count orders by something else? By discount. All right, that's working. How about count orders by customer? There we go. That's working too. So we've got quite a bit more working now. Now let's see. What else can we ask about? We had questions about returns, so let's try which parts did eRigby return? Now here it doesn't know anything about parts, so it's showing the return by eRigby. Halfway decent guess, but not good enough. We're going to put that in our broken questions list. How about which items did eRigby return? Same problem. All right, what else can we ask about eRigby? How about the age of eRigby? Oh, that worked. eRigby is 85. What else can we ask about ages? How about average customer age? And that's not quite right. So we're getting a number of customers and broken down by each age. So we're going to move that one over here to our broken questions list. How about we count something by something else? How about count orders by product size? All right, we've got our size and the number of orders for each size. That one looks correct. Okay, so we have quite a few more questions working than we had before, but we're not done yet. So in the next lesson, I'll show you how to improve some more of these questions using model annotation.